Hello guys, today we're going to be reading a novel named The Scum Within Cell Saving System written by MXTX. She's the same author who wrote Mo Dao Zu Shi. It's a really great novel. It's really famous. It got an anime uh, live adaptation called The Untamed. Yes, it's a real great book. If you want to read it, you can read it. I'm using the translation from bcnovels.com. It's a real great translation and it's easy to read. So if you want to read it, you could go there and read it. I'm gonna start reading from here. So the chapter one is. Wait, am I reading this right? Scum Villan. So the first thing, guys, I have no idea about this novel. I don't know what's it gonna be like. I'm blindly jumping into it, and I hope it's not gonna be some dark kind of novel, because the name is okay. The name is kind of funny, so I suppose it's some kind of comedy, love story type of novel. I do love mystery though. Well, I don't know. Her first novel was amazing, so I hope it's also amazing. But I do guess that she got a thing for dark novels. Okay, chapter one is Come Villain. That's good. Okay, let's start. Proud Immortal Demon Way was a male fantasy. Okay, now here, the male fantasy thing. There is some kind of number here. That means I have to explain it, I guess. Okay, let me check it. It's some kind of male fantasy means some kind of perverted fantasy, according to the translator of a stallion novel. Now, a stallion novel here means these novels feature one guy getting with lots of girls. There are different from harem novels. Okay, so these things are different from harem novels in that there is little to no relationship development in stallion novels, focusing mainly on sex. Okay, so there is a thing like that, I suppose. Kinda. Okay, so is it gonna be like? I hope it's good. I'm really scared now. To be more specific, Proud Immortal Demon Way was a mob grinding escapist. Now, the mob grinding escapist means something which feels good. Okay. Mm, Cultivation novel with a ridiculous and incomparable length of heaven defying golden finger. So, heaven defying golden finger here means protagonist's exclusive ability or weapon, often overpowered. Okay. And a harem in the three-digit range. Right. I do remember it from Donghua. I suppose it wasn't in three-digit, right? It was in four-digit. It was 3,000, so it is supposed to be four-digit. Or is it different in China? I wonder. Well, who cares? Mm, Where every single female character fell for the protagonist. This is hottest stallion novel. There was no other. The male lead of this novel, Luo Binghe, was neither the heroic invincible out of the gate type. Okay, so here the heroic invincible out of the gate means the style of a heavenly proud dragon. Take the traditional Marisu. Okay, I don't know what Marisu is, but that's what the translator says. Know the loser without redeeming qualities type. So this here means a loser, basically opposite to the heavenly dragon, yet had managed to trend with thousands and ten thousands of readers on Zhongdiang literature. Okay, so Zhongdiang here represents the Jai literature in China, and according to the translator, it is like a pun. It is a Chinese web novel site, according to the translator, that is, influencing countless male fantasies novels afterwards to follow in its footsteps. Okay, so this thing influenced many people to follow in its footsteps. That is not something to follow. Okay, he was dark and vicious type. So this guy was dark and vicious, and still people loved him? That's kinda messed up. But before his darkening, okay, here darkening means refers to someone's character being wrapped up by dark morals. But before his darkening, he was the miserably suffering type. Someone who felt pain, misery, bitter feeling in school and stuff. That is written here at least. Next, let a Warrington lead reader of this novel, Shen Yuan, omit these countless fanservice details and concisely summarize this million-word epic for everyone. Okay. Immediately after his birth, Liu Binghe was abandoned by his parents, swaddled in white cloth and put in a wooden basin, then lowered into the water. Those were the coldest days of the year, and it was only then, thanks to the river's fishermen pulling him out, that he hadn't frozen to death as a baby. Before he'd been drifting alongside the Lue River. It was the season when it was filled with ice. He was given the name Luo Binghe, so he got his surname from the Lue River, and Binghe means thin ice, I guess. I am not so sure. Liu Binghe spent his early years wandering the streets, hungry and dressed in rags. It was a daring childhood. A washerwoman who worked for a wealthy household took pity on him, and since she had no children of her own, adopted and raised him as her own son. Mother and son were poor and suffered humiliation at the hands of their rich patrons, having grown in such unhealthy environment. This became the source of Lu Binghe's future twisted personality, dark, post darkening, including his tendencies to fight over us every scarp. Okay, so I don't want to read this, it's getting darker and darker. To seek revenge for the smallest grievances and to hide murderous intent behind a smile. For a bowl of lukewarm meat congee, he'd withstood the beating of the family's young masters. In the end, he was still too late and failed to give his adoptive mother even a single taste before she died. So his mother, the only person in his life, died. The protagonist is sad. Okay, so the protagonist's mother is dead by now, and the novel didn't even start. So sad. By complete coincidence, he was selected by one of the cultivation world's four greatest sects. Some coincidence, indeed, I suppose. Was he that strong? How? Just how? Okay, complete coincidence. Let's think it's coincidence. Okay, I do not know how to say it in Chinese, but its name in the Donghua was Heavenly Mountain Sect, so I'm gonna use the name Heavenly Mountain Sect. Heavenly Mountain Sect and apprenticed under the Chiya sword, Shen Qingqi. Okay, this guy, I remember. No spoilers. Why am I saying this? He thought that he could finally start down the proper path, but he hadn't expected that Shen Qingqi was fair but foul within. Okay, so this fair but four foul within is some kind of Chinese saying, I suppose. Let me confirm it. So this means glittered jade without cotton rags within. It means someone who looks like a jade from outside but is like some kind of cotton rag from inside. And here, rag means clothes which cannot be used anymore. So he was like some kind of trash from within. Trash of the lowest caliber. He was jealous of Liu Binghai's unparalleled and exceptional talent, and secretly feared this disciple would cultivate, improved by leaps and bounds every day, always finding all sorts of way to taunt and demean him, even enlisting fellow disciples to belittle him. Throughout the years of studying, he endured humiliation. It was another heart wrenching story filled with blood and tears. So this Liu Binghe is sad. Okay, he's sad. Under much difficulty, Liu Binghe managed to turn 17 when he finally encountered the ceremony the cultivation held once every 4 years, the Immortal Alliance Conference. Here, at the conference, Liu Binghe fell victim to Shen Qingqi's scheming and fell into a crack in the boundary between demon and human realm, the endless abyss. That's right, only now did the story truly begin. Oh my god, what was all that if the story just began? Okay, let's continue. Not only did Liu Binghai survive within the endless bliss, he even found the peerless mystical sword meant to be his. Shinmo. Okay, am I reading the novel, which is supposed to be spoiler for the Donghua? I don't know. Let's just continue. And there learned about his origin. As it turned out, Liu Binghe had been born to the demon realm's saintly ruler and a human realm woman. Within his veins flowed both the blood of ancient heavenly fallen demons as well as of human race. His birth father, Tan Lianzhong, had been sailed beneath a great mountain, trapped for eternity. His birth mother was a disciple from a righteous cultivation sect, that is, suspected of having secret ties to demon. She was expelled and died from postpartum. Okay, Hormage. After giving birth to Lobengher, prior to her death, she let her son off the lone ship she'd birthed him on, and only in this way left Liu Binghe a chance of survival. Liu Binghe used Shinmo to release his blood seal on his demonic blood, and within the dark abyss cultivated single-mindedly and enlightened himself on otherworldly techniques. Before heading back to Heavenly Mountain sect, from here on, Liu Binghe steadily headed down the path of darkening, never looking back. Every single one of his old enemies suffered great torment and died horrible deaths by his hand. Within his steadily improving acting and scheming skills, Liu Binghe slowly won the trust of many people, secretly plotting against them. He seized power and rose in position, beginning a region of terror. As the story unfolds, Liu Binghe darkened further and further. Okay, so he hasn't darkened enough yet? Well, the Liu Binghe does seem sexy though. He returned to the demon realm and inherited the position of the saintly ruler. Okay, but still unsatisfied. Oh my god, what? Began to massacre each one of the human realm's great religious sects, bathing them in blood. and erasing all voices in opposition. Okay, so I don't understand one thing. Why bath all the sects in blood? Wasn't the one which wronged him only the heavenly mountain sect? Seriously, this dude is scary. In the end, Liu Binghe became a generation spanning legend amongst immortals and demons, who talked about his unification of three realms. Oh my god, this guy unified the three realms? The uncountable size of his harem, and his boundless number of descendants. Oh my god. Stupid author, stupid novel. Oh my god, I also want to say that. With his dying breath, Shen Yuan spat his final curse. He did the great thing. I would also do that if I were him. Who could have imagined that an upstanding young man like him, who had properly purchased VIP currency and read the official version, who had managed to personally follow the work to its end, had ended up finishing a novel so stallion it felt himself speechless with rage? A money swindling, over-padded mess. How could he not curse? Proud immortal demon way, author, airplane shooting towards the sky. Okay, so this thing got a number two, so I suppose I have to translate it too. Let's wait for a second, I will check it. Okay, the airplane shooting towards the sky means his idea is beating the airplane is also an enthusiastic for Okay, so his ID could mean mastur dash 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 towards the sky. Okay, so we all understood what that meant. Oh my god, this is already getting 18 plus, I suppose. Oh my god. Just looking at this ID would assault you with dirty feeling. Yes, it is. Oh my god, this guy seems scary. Grade school level writing and suspension of disbelief broken everywhere. Okay, so let me see what this thing means now. Suspension of disbelief is landmine, but refers to points in a story that cause the audience to go WTF, and not in a good way. Okay. Shen Yuan couldn't even bear to call that inherent mess a setting of a cultivation mess of a setting, a cultivation setting. How have you seen a cultivation world where people used horses and carriages all day? I don't know. I mean, I have read plenty of novels, and of course, they will use horses and carriages. You can't always fly around on swords. That will seem funny. Have you seen a cultivation world where, after achieving endemia, people still needed to eat and sleep? Have you seen a cultivation world where author occasionally mixed up even the foundation established and nascent soul stages? Okay, so cultivation stages used in Xianja. So these foundation establishment and nascent soul stage is a cultivation stage popular which is popularly used. I'm not so sure. Every single person, when in front of the protagonist, would act like his immense douchebag horror had devoured his brain cells, especially lubing his master, that Shen Guingui, basically an idiot amongst idiots, scum among scum among scum. His only purpose was to dig his own grave, and when he didn't manage to finish, he got killed by the protagonist. Then why did Shen Yuan read this book? Indeed, and even read it to the very end. I also want to know that. Why did he read it if he didn't like it? Don't misunderstand. Shen Yuan wasn't a machoist. The very reason also caused him the most bollock. Okay. This novel had an incredible amount of foreshadowing, dangling plot lines. Okay, this means that this novel had an incredible amount of mystery and had good plot lines everywhere. Mystery and mystery, layers upon layers of red herring, and at the very end, none of the single one paid off. Okay, so the mystery remained a mystery. It was enough to make him to puke a fountain of blood. Why would peerless herbs, spirit exilers, and peerless beauties everywhere, like they didn't even cost a cent? Why were the villains' speeches and poses as they dug their own graves and got offed all exactly the same? The many girls we barely caught a glance of who'd agree to enter the harem. What happened to them? Alright, let's skip that part for a moment. The many aristocrats who were the culprits, giant list of characters hyped up at the beginning, awesome without equal. Exactly what was their purpose? Why was nothing of them shown until the very end? Towards the sky, bro. Airplane, bro. Greatcoat. Can we have a discussion? Wrap up plotlines, okay? Shen Yuan felt like he could come back to life from sheer rage. In the endless darkness, a mechanical voice sounded in his ear. Okay, let me imitate the mechanical voice. Let me try. Activation code. Stupid author, stupid novel. System automatically triggered. Who is this? The tone was similar to Google Translate. Okay, Google Translate. It's not that hard, is it? Shen Luan looked around. It seemed like he was floating in a virtual void, so dark he couldn't see his hand before him, the voice coming from all directions. Welcome to the system. This system operates in the line with the design concept. Mm, you can, you up. No can, no BB. Wait a second, let me see what that means. So, you can, you up, you can, no BB means that basically if you're capable, then you do it. If you're not, then shut the fuck up. Okay. We hope to provide you with the best possible experiences. It is our sincere wish that during your experience you can fulfill your desire and, according to your wishes, transform a stupid piece of work into a high quality, magnificent, first grade classic. We hope you enjoy. In the midst of the vertigo, a man's voice asked lightly behind his ears, Should he? Should he? Okay, now, the shitty thing means that junior cultivation brother. That is quite obvious, but many people don't really know this, so it's okay. Can you hear me? Shen Yuan stuttered and settled his mind, forcibly peeling open his eyes. The scene before him fluidly blur. It took a while for his vision to finally focus and clear. He lay on a bed, looking up a wide gauzy canopy with his finely crafted perfume pouches hanging from four corners. Looking down, he wore a white robe, ancient in its styling. Next to the pillow lay a paper fan. Looking to his left, a handsome and elegant young man dressed in traditional black robes. Here, traditional black robes means that the clothes used by Chinese cultivators, sat by his bedside, looking at him with concern. Shen Yuan closed his eyes, then sharply reached for the folding fan. Opening it with a snap, he lightly waved it, fanning away the cold sweat pouring down his face. The man's eyes lit up with joy. Then he warmly asked, Shadif, Shadif finally woke up. Is there any discomfort? Shen Yuan reservedly said, "Nothing too bad." The information overload was a bit much. His gaze tried to sit up. Seeing this, the man quickly reached out to support his back, letting him lean against the headboard. Having read many of Zongtiang's transmission notes, Shen Yuan had long resolved that if one day he woke up to find himself lying in a strange place, before he understood what was happening, he definitely won't giggle carelessly and say, "Are you filming a movie? The props look so real. Your crew's really giving their all." The words of a person slowly tried to grow around them. He concentrated only on acting like he's just woken up. Expression is absent minded. "I. Where is this?" The man startled and said, "Did you sleep yourself into days? This your cringing beak?" Internally, Shen Yuan was shocked but continued to act muddled. "I. Why was I asleep for so long?" The man said, "That's what I want to know. You were perfectly healthy. How did you suddenly come down with such high fever? I know that with the Immortal Alliance conference approaching, you have been training your disciples and are anxious for results. But the Heavenly Mountain Sects Foundation and Reowned. Now I'm getting tired. Isn't it too big? Sex Foundation and Reowned today. Even if someone didn't attend this time, no one would dare question us. Why concern yourselves with those empty words?" Then more Shenuan listened, the more something felt off. Why did these lines sound so familiar? No, why did this setup sound so familiar? Next, a single earnest sentence from the man confirmed all his suspicions. "Quinkishidi, are you listening to Shizhong?" Oh my god, it's so long, I'm getting tired. At this moment, something dinged, and the mechanical Google Translate like voice from the dreamscape sounded again. The system was successfully activated. Roll bound, looping his monster. Heavenly Mountain Sect. Shin Qingjing Peak. Lord. Shen Qingqi. Weapon the sword Shuya. Starting B points 100. Okay, this is an insult. Fuck, fuck, fuck. What bullshit is this? How come you're speaking directly into my brain? Does a airplane shooting towards the sky know you're paralyzing, proud immortal demon ways? Set up like this? Of course, Shenyuan didn't say it out loud, but the voice quickly responded. You you have touched the system's command execution and have been bound to the count. Shen Guingui. As the plot progresses, many different types of points will gradually become available. Please ensure that none of these points fall below zero, otherwise the system will automatically dole out punishment. Stop. Enough. Shenyuan was sure now. He had hit the jackpot. He has transmigrated. Transmigration into something he had just finished? And it was a dark stallion novel he'd hated. Even came with some kind of shitty system. As a 21st century veteran VIP reader of Zhongdiang literature, he had read through various types of do-over and transmigration fantasy novels year in, year out. So originally Shen Yuan could have happily and easily accepted this fact, but all people, the shell he borrowed just happened to be the male lead scum villain Shizun. Shen Qinggui's. This uh made the situation rather complicated. The good natured looking elder brotherly type next to him was heaven Heavenly Mountains Sect's current select leader, Shen Guingui Shizhong, the Xuan Su sword, Yu Qing Yuan, Yue Qing Yuan. Fuck. There was a very important reason Shen Yuan had specially gone fuck at Yue Qing Yuan. In the original work, Yuan Qing Yuan's death had been caused by his good shitty Shen Guingui. Okay. And what a horrible death it was! Tens of thousands of arrows had pierced him until not even bones remained. Aww. And at this moment, the victim was facing his own murderer, showering him with concern. The pressure was intense. But looking again now, the story hadn't progressed to the point yet. Yue King Yuan was still in perfect health, meaning this was the time Shen Kunki had yet to reveal himself as a hypocrite, and his reputation was still unruined. Yue Qingyuan was a bleeding heart, nothing to be afraid of. Though this character ended up suffering quite a bit during his reign, Shen Yuan had been rather fond of him. He relaxed a little when a string of words floated early to the forefront of his mind. Within the darkness, gloomy room, a metal chain had hung from the beam. At the end of the chain dangled a ring. The ring was fastened around a person's waist, and it could still be considered a person. This person's appearance was filthy and devilish. Okay, this disheveled, like that of a madman. The most frightening thing was all four of his limbs had been severed. Okay, now the limbs here I'm mentioning to all his hands and his feet were cut, I suppose. His shoulder and thighs were only four bare knobs of flesh. When touched, he would let out a hoarse ah sound. His tongue had been torn out of remaining him unable to complete words. Proud immortal demon way, a featured paragraph of Shen Qingqi's fate. Okay, I feel bad for this guy. Shen Yuan. Ah, no, Shen Qingqi rested his forehead on his hand. He wasn't in any position to lament how horrific other people's deaths were. The most horrific death was his own. Must avoid any serious errors, smut out any sign of mistake. From now on, cling madly to the main protagonist's thighs. And that means he would probably butter him, be a good teacher and a helpful friend who is earnest and gentle in teaching, shower him with concern. He just had thought when Shen Guinggui's mind suddenly erupted with a long string of alarms, as if as if as if 100 police cars carrying 100 striking beasts were zooming past. So he shredded, clutching his head in pain. Yue Qingyuan was worried. Shitty, does your head still hurt? Teeth, teeth clenched. Shen Guingui didn't answer. The system shrilled, alerted, warning. Your plan just now was incredibly dangerous and qualified as an act of violence. Please do not attempt, or the system will automatically dole out punishment. How was that a violation? Currently, your starting stage and the OSC feature is frozen. You'll need to complete a starting stage mission to unfreeze. Before unfreezing, doing anything that violates the original Shen Guinggui's character setting will result in fixed number of B points being deducted. As the semi-otaku, Shen Qingqi was occasionally seen in several fanworks related to terms. You understand, of course he knew what OOC was. meant the aberration of out of character, defined as as breaking the character in any way that was inconsistent with the original character's personality. In other words, if before that whatever features had unfrozen, the manner of the action can different from Shen Kui would do. Correct. It's already let him transmit. It's already let him. It had already let him transmigrated into Shen Kui's shell, replace him, but still cared about a deal like, oh, see? Shen Kui asked again. You just said something like that the points cannot fall below zero. If they do, what's happening? You will automatically be deported back to the original world. Original world? But in the original world, Shen Yuan's body was already dead. In other words, if he lost all his B or whatever points, what awaited him was death. Then, if I must ignore the male lead and avoid doing anything, should be fine, right? He raised his head and swept his gaze around, but didn't see anyone. He matched Lu Binghe's appearance among the disciples waiting on him by his sides, acting unconcerned. He said, "Where's Lu Binghe?" Yue Gunghan halted and gave him a strange look. Shen Kunku remained straight-faced, but was secretly filled with glee. Could it be that the time wasn't ripe, and the male lead had yet to apprentice under Heavenly Mountain sect? Yue Yuan said, "Shidi, don't be angry." An ominous premotion stirred in Shin Kunkui's heart. Yue Kungan sighed and said, "I know you don't like him, but that child already worked hard enough, and he hasn't made any large mistakes. Don't punish him anymore, all right?" Hearing this, Shen Kunkui's lips went dry. He licked them and said, "Out with it. Where is he?" Wei Kungan was silent for a moment, then said, "Whenever you punish him, staring him and beating him, haven't you always shut him up in the woodshed?" Shen Kunkui's vision went dark. Okay, guys, I cannot read anything else today. It was really hard for my throat, I suppose. I'm really thirsty right now. I'll read the next chapter tomorrow. So please be connected with me. I will read the next chapter tomorrow, and I recommend you watching Don Hua too. It is really fun series, and it was good to read. So yay! Okay, bye guys. I hope we meet again.